Hi everyone, John here, host of the Bose 3 podcast. I am coming to you live from my dining room. Because many of you know, my house is presently under construction, and it is the holiday season, so this is the only available space. So I want to talk to you about what I have been up to for the last 2 weeks. I have been talking to people who are running for the Democratic National Committee member seat that was vacated by Gus Bickford. As many of you know, Gus is now the chair of the Massachusetts State Party, and he had to give up his DNC chair seat. So I have been going around talking to the 5 candidates that are running for the open seat as part of my effort to try to be more open and transparent. So I represent the South Shore of Massachusetts and the Massachusetts State Democratic Party. And what I wanted to do was grab some video of each one of the candidates and then bring it back to my constituents and ask them who I should vote for. So I have put together 5 interviews, and of course you can share it and take a look at it, and then give me some comments on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Bose3pod, or you can check it out at Bose3.com. So, first person I went out to see was Bob, and he is from Winchester. Weird thing is that most of the people who are running for this seat are from towns that begin with the W as their first initial. So I had a chance to talk to Bob at his house, and he has a great story about somebody he met on a visibility. So let's take a look at this incredible story from Bob.
In one standout in one year, I had this guy come up to me on the street, and I was holding a sign, and he started talking to me about every issue on the national level.
Oh, it's happened to all of us.
And he was boom, boom, boom. And he, I said, I want to get your name. And he said Barack. It was Barack Obama.
Are you kidding
who was
me?
in law school
At
Harvard and living in Somerville on Broadway. So, that was the strangest person you're ever going to meet. And he was so brilliant even then.
And of course he's got such a unique name that you're
right,
going to remember the name.
Remember Barack. And you'd say, oh, I never heard that name before.
So that's a funny story. Who would guess that you would meet the future president of the United States at a visibility you were doing? Bob's a great guy, great candidate. Check out the video on the website. Next person I was fortunate to talk to is Mel. We went and I met him in Watertown, once again another candidate from a town that begins with W. Unfortunately, we met at Starbucks, and the video is not quite the quality that I wanted, so I do apologize for that. And take a listen to it, watch it. Mel's a great candidate. He talks about something that I think is on a lot of our minds. So let's take a look at this video from Mel.
Divided committee of people who in the past supported us and in this past election didn't support us. So now the goal is to try to reach out to those people and try to bring them back. That's the objective. The objective is also to try to look at the strategy, the things that made us great in 2008 and then repeated that greatness in 2012. But for some reason in 2016, we lost that. So the goal here is to try to come back and sort of reunite that energy and bring back a lot of those constituency groups that we lost in that 2016 election. Why did we lose them? So that's my purpose for running.
So I think Mel brings up a great point there. A lot of us are very worried about the what we perceive as losing connection with a few of our constituent groups that were part of the coalition that helped elect Barack Obama to the presidency. So Mel brings up some real good points, and like I said, I apologize about the video, but please check it out. He's a great candidate for this seat. Next, I went out to the western part of the state to visit the only candidate that's not from a town that begins with S. I met with Ed, and he's from Springfield. We met in Ludlow. Of course, that day it snowed and it was ridiculously cold. But Ed has a really funny story about one of the campaigns that he worked on, where he wasn't successful, but had a great time, and it's the Ted Kennedy campaign. So let's take a look at what Ed had to say about the campaign.
Ted Kennedy in 1980.
Oh, that was a tough one.
Which I was the co-chair of the Western Massachusetts Draft Kennedy Committee, which only held one meeting, by the way, because the day after we filled the ballroom of the Hotel Kimball in Springfield, Ted announced that he was running.
He's in.
So the draft committee
You did it.
disbanded and turned all our contacts over to his official campaign.
Now, I think that's a great story. It's kind of funny that he has that event in Springfield and Kennedy declares immediately after it. We should all be that lucky with the candidates that we're excited about. I also met with the youngest candidate running, who's really exciting. Secondo is from West Roxbury, which is technically part of Boston, but once again another town with W. He's part of the Young Democrats, College Democrat group, state committee person. He has a nonprofit he put together that I think is really interesting. So let's take a look at the video that interview that I did with him, and take a look at this.
A nonprofit called the Latinx Action Group.
Oh, cool.
And what we do in our aim that we still go through, our aim is to build bridges of knowledge for college Latinos and people of color. And our strategy here is really working with young folks who are usually cultural student groups. So we work directly with cultural student groups in universities. And we bring workshops to them and connect them to the community, connect them to...
So real hardcore outreach.
Yes, and it's been an amazing experience. We've been able to reach at least 5 colleges.
No, he is a great candidate, very experienced. He talks a lot about the grassroots efforts he did, getting out the vote in the 2016 election cycle, as well as some really interesting ideas about what he'd like to do at the DNC. So definitely a candidate you want to consider. The last person I met with was Russ, and we met in Norwood. Of course, he is from Wayland, once again another town with W. And he has a really interesting idea of how he would like the interaction to go between the DNC members in Massachusetts and the rest of us in the state party and registered Democrats as a whole. So let's take a look at this. Oops.
We do not right now have a format to make sure that everyone in the party knows about what is happening at the DNC.
So from the person who's a weekend warrior, watches the network television stations, maybe doesn't go to his town committee, all the way up to the state committee person, you want a system.
I want a system, and the system that I'm thinking about and proposing is that I personally, I don't want to get anyone, make a commitment for anyone else, after each national committee meeting, I will hold 4 meetings.
4 meetings.
4 meetings in different parts of the state, working with.
So, you go to your winter session, you come back, you're going to hold 4 local sessions.
Right, one in Easton, one in Western, one in the Southern, one in the Northern, and it would vary after every meeting.
Move around.
And it needs to be that I will invite all of the other state, the national committee people with me.
Come on down.
In order to let people know what happened at the meeting, and do you have any questions that you would want me to find out, and get back to you. And we need to have a better way of letting people know what is going on at the national meeting.
So I think that's a great idea, and I do hope that our state committee people, DNC member people from Massachusetts will consider that. I think it would be great to be able to offer that to anybody who's interested in finding out more about the actual happenings of the DNC, having 4 meetings in the state all over, different locations at different times. Great idea. Now, each one of these guys are really great candidates for this seat. What I did was I recorded a 15 to 20 minute video that is available on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Bose3pod. Or you can see it at my website, bose3.com. On my website, I broke out the actual interviews into segments by the question that I asked. I asked 5 questions. First one was, please introduce yourself. Second one was the elevator pitch for why people should vote for you. Then I asked them 3 things that they'd like to see the National Committee, the DNC, focus on. And then what one accomplishment would they like to achieve in their tenure as a DNC member. And I finished off with a conversation about the campaign trail and how people can help. So 5 videos, 10 to 15 minutes. Please take a look. They're well worth it. They are all great guys. If you have a chance, check it out. Then go to my website, bose3.com, and leave some comments on who you support and why you support them. The whole purpose of this is to be more transparent and get more people involved with the conversation. So, like I said, I really like these guys. We have some good candidates here, so I do hope you'll take the time to check them out on the website. This is John signing off for this first podcast.